Hi, I'm Stephanie Marchetti, and I'm the Director of Academic Support and Testing Services here at MWCC Community College. I'm also an adjunct faculty member, and so in this video, I'm going to be reviewing with you all of your records-keeping obligations that you have as a faculty member at the Mount. You can see a list of what we're going to cover right next to me here, and that list is time-stamped. So if you are a new MWCC faculty member, I definitely recommend that you watch this entire video. But if you are a returning faculty member and you just need a refresher on some of these topics, feel free to skip around. The timestamps are also noted in the description box below so that when this little bubble next to me disappears in a second, you can always just scroll down to see the sections you want to skip to in the time that they're being discussed. So the first thing that we're going to discuss is the importance of using your MWCC email address. You access your MWCC email address through iConnect, which is just at iconnect.mwcc.edu. You want to log in with the username and password you were given during your onboarding, and you will see a lot of different information in your iConnect account. We're only going to review a few parts of it today, and the first one is your employee email address. It is very important that you use your MWCC email address for all college communications, and there's a few different reasons for that. The first is that this is what we tell our students to use, and so it models good behavior for them when you use it as well. The second is that this is the #1 way that we reach out to you with time-sensitive information. And so you want to check your email at least a few times a week, if not every day, to make sure you don't miss any important deadlines or information that is being requested of you. When you are clicking on your email, do make sure it's this blue employee email app. Some of you may have a student email app, especially if you've ever taken a non-credit course with us, and that's a very different account. So you want to stick with the blue employee email app and check it regularly so that you can respond to requests from different offices. The next app that's really important for you to understand and review is the Web Connect app. And this is where you're going to find detailed information about your classes and the students that are registered and enrolled in them. Once you click on the Web Connect app, you're going to go over to the Faculty Services tab, and you'll see there is a lot of different information in here. And some of it is available at different points in the semester, but what you can see at all times is your detailed class list. Your detailed class list for any given semester, you can even go back in time to see old class lists if you'd like, is available to give you name and contact info for each of your students. So after you choose the semester, you can choose the class you're interested in looking at, and then you can gather all the information that you need about that specific class and the students registered for it. So you can see here I chose my Spring 2021 Intro to Mass Media class. This confirms for me that the class begins on January 20th and ends on May 10th. It confirms for me that there are 25 potential students that can register for this class. At the time of filming, there are 15 students actually in it, which leaves 10 remaining seats. Shouldn't have to do any of that math, which is really nice. As you scroll down, you can see the name and student ID number of the students in your class. I've obviously blurred them out to keep student information protected. And you can also see what major the student is in and when they began at the college. Scrolling down through this list, you have that same information for every student. And then at the very bottom of this page, there's even an email list for students in your class that you can copy and paste. So that's one of the several ways that you can email students as well. So this class list is really handy. It updates daily as needed, and you can check it at any time. Also in the Faculty Services tab is where you're going to enter your final grades. At the time of filming this, I can't access that because it is not time to enter final grades. That'll unlock for you once grades are due at the end of the semester, and you can go in and add grades for each of the students in your class. Other things that are in this Faculty Services tab that you may want to keep an eye out for are the Early Alert Communication tool. If you have a student that you're concerned about, there are many ways that you can express that concern. You can obviously talk to our retention center directly. You can also enter details about that concern here as well. So you can choose either option that you'd like. Neither is preferred, and both will reach the intervention teams that we have available depending on the needs and concerns for that student. So I would recommend that you click around your Web Connect tab and get used to using that faculty services information, because you're going to enter grades there and look at who is registered for your classes there as well. The next thing that is important to review are the ways that students can be removed from your classes. There are actually 4 ways that students can be removed from your classes. I'll put a little image here, but I know that text is going to look small, so we'll review each of them one by one. There are 2 ways that students can remove themselves for classes, and there are 2 ways that you can remove students from your classes. And so the first way a student can remove themselves from your class is called a drop. Students can drop your courses within the first week or so themselves through their Web Connect app, and there's generally no penalty. So they don't receive a withdrawal or a grade in the class, but there may be financial implications. And so we do recommend, when students drop a course, that they speak to a staff member, particularly somebody in advising, retention, or financial aid, to make sure that that decision is in their best interest. The other way students can be removed from their class on their own accord is through a withdrawal. And students are unable to withdraw themselves. The withdraw option becomes available after the add drop period is over. There are often financial implications to this decision, and so students must be withdrawn by an MWCC staff member. So if a student ever tells you that they withdrew themselves from your class, you're going to want to double check your roster in Web Connect to make sure that that happened, because either they are using the wrong word and they meant to say that they dropped themselves from your class, or they did not complete that process correctly, and you just want to verify it so that they don't get themselves into any unexpected trouble. Next, there are ways that you can remove students from your classes. The first way that that takes shape is through a no-show. The records office will email you no-show requests, and I'm going to pull that no-show screen up right now so I can show you an example email. So you're going to get an email just like this from records right around the second week of classes, and it's going to request that you submit any potential or any students that you want to mark as a no-show. The email has information on how to complete that no-show roster. It also lets you know that this is something you should complete because it is critical for financial aid, and it gives you a deadline for when to submit that no-show roster. So make sure you read this email thoroughly. It has a lot of different details and important information for you, as well as other upcoming deadlines for other things that you'll need to do in your class. As far as a no-show, there are a lot of different ways a student can be no-showed from your class, but many of them are defined by federal regulations. So you can see a list of those right here in the email that Records sends you. And keep in mind, for web courses, just logging in to Blackboard doesn't mean they've shown up for the class. They should participate in some way or submit some kind of work in order to be marked as somebody who has shown up for your class. So keep an eye out in the first few weeks of school for this no-show email to come from Records, and make sure you follow the directions included in it on how to complete it. There are several different ways that you can complete the no-show roster. You can print it out, write the codes that are outlined for you onto the roster, and hand submit it to Records, or you can scan and email it back to Records if you aren't able to go into the office. Or you can email Records directly with the list of students that need to be no-showed, which would include their name and their ID number. And so read this thoroughly, and it'll give you all the instructions that you need. The next way that a student can be removed from the class by you is if you stop them out. A stop out means the student was attending for some period of time, but now they've disappeared. And you're going to get an email from Records that explains this to you as well. And so I'm going to open up a copy of that so that you can see it. Let's see. So very similar looking email from Records, PDF instructions on how to complete your stop out roster, as well as directions on how to complete it. So make sure you, again, read this thoroughly. It's going to have a deadline for when your stop out roster is due. It's going to give you information on what a stop out is, and it's going to ask you to submit your stop out roster by a certain date. And so this is the fourth and final way a student can be removed from your class. And again, the two ways that you are in control of are emailed to you by records with very clear and specific instructions on how to complete it. What you want to keep in mind when you're looking through those emails, or what you may have noticed when I pull them up on my screen, is that the roster is not included in that original email. The initial email from records goes out to every faculty member on campus, and then immediately afterwards, another email will be sent to you containing your specific rosters. So you're going to get two separate emails. One is all of the information and steps you need to take, and the second is your actual roster that you can print out and complete. Okay, so we have reviewed checking your MWCC email. We have reviewed the 4 ways students can be removed from classes, and we've looked at examples of the emails that you'll get that explain to you your obligations for that. The last thing that I'm going to review with you in this video is how you can submit incompletes and grade changes for your students. So this is back to iConnect rather. So back in our iConnect screen is where we can access the forms needed to either submit an incomplete grade or submit a grade change for a student. So at the top of your iConnect page, you have lots and lots of tabs. If you just scroll over to the edge of the page, you'll see one that says Forms and Documents. We have a lot of different online forms and documents that students can complete and that you can complete. And so we're going to review 2 of the ones that you can complete now. The first one is incomplete grade. This is a multi-step form. It needs to be completed by you. It needs to be completed by the student. So you would enter the student name, and I'm going to put just a fake email so we can move it forward. Okay, so once you've entered the student's name and email address, you get taken to the form itself where you're going to fill in a lot of different information. You're going to fill in your name and the date, identifying information for the student in the course, and then you're going to outline all of the work the student needs to complete within 30 days in order to pass the course. I chose those words very carefully, in order to pass the course, because only students that are failing a course are eligible for an incomplete. So if a student has a grade in your course that is a D or higher, whether or not they are missing work, they need to be awarded the grade they are eligible for at the time your class is over. Only those students with failing grades are eligible for an incomplete. Being awarded an incomplete gives them 30 days to complete whatever work you outline in this step below. So you're going to outline or list all of the work that needs to be completed by the student. You are going to confirm that if they complete that work, they are able to move up a letter grade. And then you are going to move the form on to the next person by hitting next. Students are going to get a copy of this, and records is going to get a copy of this as well. It's a pretty comprehensive form. There's not a lot of room for error, but definitely make sure you fill it out thoroughly and clearly so that you and the student have a nice, concise contract that you've agreed on how they can wrap up this course for you. Okay, so back on this landing page of forms, we can see the grade change form as well. And the grade change form is another one of those multi-step forms that we complete here on campus. So you would enter the student's ID, the course, when it was, you're going to put what their grade originally was, what it was changed to, and the justification for the grade change. You're going to fill out the contact information for your dean. And once you've finished your part of the paper, you're going to click next. The form will move around to your dean for approval, and then if approved, it'll push forward to records for further processing. And so again, all of these forms are able to be completed online. You don't have to do any of these things by paper. You can access them from any computer. You don't even have to be logged on to a computer at the Mount. You just have to be logged into your iConnect account. So if you have questions on any of these things, don't hesitate to reach out. I hope this video was helpful to you. And like I said, reach out to us anytime if you have questions or need clarification on anything that was outlined here. Thank you.